Hi, I'm Tony Russo, and this is In Case You Missed It by Kates-Boylston for the week ending Friday, April 25th, 2025. Bring on spring. Got a bunch of stuff coming up in this episode. We're going to start with the early part of the Kates-Boylston Compensation Report. This annual report, this is, I think, it's like the 11th or 12th year that we've done it, but I have the last 10 years of data that I've been using AI to kind of parse. Plus, I've been using all of the stories that I've reported on over the last year to kind of bring a little color and context to the annual survey. So it's really cool. I've got some pretty graphs already. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty excited about. One of the things that I'm going to harp on in the report, and I'll give you just a little taste in advance, is the disconnect between what people think they should be paid and what people are being paid and what people think that they should be paying people. It is, it's a tale as old as time, but it's also a real thing now. And it's something that funeral service is going to learn to accommodate one way or the other. So, having a sense, I think that's one of the things that's valuable about this report, is having a sense of where everything stands might give you the inspiration you need to get more things done. I also have a couple stories about different people in the news and a couple of news items that I think are worth looking at. It'll be a short episode this week, and let's get into it after this message from our sponsor, Passages International. Looking for a way to honor your loved one while honoring the planet? At Passages, we specialize in eco-friendly funeral products made from renewable, biodegradable materials. Whether it's a stunning willow casket, a biodegradable urn for scattering, or our unique memorial keepsakes, we help create meaningful goodbyes that tread lightly on the earth. Join the movement toward greener funerals. Visit passagesinternational.com and discover how you can celebrate a life while protecting the planet for generations to come. Link in the show notes. First up, I want to plug the Kates-Boylston Compensation Report. This is my third year doing it, I think, and it is the first year after last year's big one, which was a decade review of all of the data that we had collected. This report builds on that. If you are not a subscriber, you're going to miss out, because this is a subscriber-only issue, and it will be the next 2 issues of Funeral Service Insider. I also want to, give you the heads up that if you aren't a subscriber but are dying to see it, you do get free access to the website, 3 articles every 90 days for just the cost of your email. So if you'd like to sign on and make an account, you can read the stories that are connected to this compensation report. In the coming months, we will put the compensation report into a booklet that you will be able to download for free, but subscribers get it first and subscribers get it now, and that's something that it may be worth subscribing for you. As I mentioned up front, one of the things that's really interesting is to see the cross-section of salaries that are just fading. In 2017, there were still many funeral homes who were paying their interns $10 per hour or less. And that is not the case anymore. The most common funeral home payment for starting directors, that's new directors, was about $40,000 in 2017. And today, by far, it is 55 or more thousand. It's gotten to the point that we're going to have to rethink our scale, because it's more common for people to start above $55,000 for their first real job in funeral service. And for interns, it's increasingly $20 an hour is kind of the minimum, and it's a minimum that's fading. So we've got lots of cool stuff and lots of cool analysis on that coming up in the next 2 weeks in Funeral Service Insider, the newsletter. So don't miss out on that. Link in the show notes. The oldest funeral home in Essex County, New York, and possibly the oldest funeral home in the state, burned down last week on April 22nd, according to the Adirondack Explorer. It is the Heinrich Funeral Home in Elizabethtown. It is 196 years old. It was founded by W.M. Marvin and Sons in 1829 and has been in operation since. The Heinrichs who own it are going to continue to offer services with the help of their neighbors as they make a plan to rebuild. I just wanted to share it because it's tough to see a story like that, but you feel like if nothing over the last 200 years has kept them from operating, a little thing like burning to the ground and having to rebuild won't stop them either. So best of luck to the Heinrichs as they go forward with their funeral home, and we're sorry for the tough time you're going through. Link to the story in the show notes. It is so easy to forget how slowly government can move, but something I reported on, it may have been last year, it probably was last year, has resurfaced in the news, and that is a bill that would reduce the required temperature that crematories run at in Oregon from 1,800 degrees to 1,600 degrees. When I reported on it at the time, funeral home owners and crematory operators were behind it. They said 1,800 is too high and it costs a lot of money, and sometimes it's really hard to get to that last little bit of 1,800 degrees, and 1,600 is fine for what cremation needs to do. So if that is the case, this is a laudable law, and it looks like it's going to come up for a vote. When I reported on it, it was in committee and being debated, but now it looks like it's going to get its day in the legislature and maybe pass. If you have any opinions on this, I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear some insights from crematory operators about when and how and if this is the kind of thing that should be taken up in other states. I feel like it was taken up in the East someplace last year as well, but I honestly don't recall. So be happy to hear from you. And if I don't hear from you, then you'll hear from me with more information next time. But for now, there's a link to the Oregon story in the show notes. Mentioned before that you should check out our industry news page where we post the press releases that various companies send us so that, you can be kind of up to date. I don't always report on them here because a lot of times they're not really salient to the larger conversation, but there were two this week that I think are, and I'm going to read them and then I'm going to say some vaguely irresponsible things about them, and then I'm going to move on. The first one, Anthem Partners has announced a partnership with Tribute Technology. There is a story in my head about this rush, not even rush, the number of partnerships that we're seeing is increasing, and it's as if something large happened in the industry and some of the smaller players are scrambling around to kind of choose sides. And I think it's a big deal. I think it's a good deal though for Anthem Partners. And I do have a story on Anthem Partners from just a couple weeks ago that I'll also put in the show notes, but it'll be exciting to see how they interact with Tribute Technologies. And I think that it is a good deal, but they are switching all of their funeral homes to Tribute Technology products. Look for more of this year. And the reason you should look for more of this year is from another headline this week. Serent Capital invests in Plotbox to accelerate innovation in death care technology. I've always been a fan of Plotbox. I did a feature on them. It was one of my first features I did. They're a great company, and this is not a slight against them at all, but it's getting harder and harder to open my email and not hear about more venture capital money moving into funeral service. And if you're a venture capitalist and you've got $1 million that you want to spend on a spunky reporter, I'm your spunky reporter, so I'm not against venture capital at all. But it is worth noting the amount of money that's finding its way into funeral service. We had a great conversation with Ryan Reyes a couple of weeks ago about how he was able to, really do some great stuff with his company using angel investor money. So the money's out there, and if you have something that you can make good use of it, take it. It's something that I think we should all have on our radar, because this money's coming in, but venture capitalists aren't known for their being okay with not getting their money back, I guess, is the easiest way to put it. So it's exciting that there's so much excitement around funeral service now. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's going to be good for everybody. But the guy in me who's been covering business for the last 25 years is saying, yeah, when the money starts flowing too much, when there's like this kind of race, I'm not going to use the B word. I don't even think that there's any such reason to consider using the B word. It's just that there's a lot of money to be had out there for people who are looking to expand their businesses. And I'm hoping that it's all going to be used wisely. I know Plotbox will use it wisely. I mean, they've been a really, useful company, and they do need to expand because there are so many, funeral homes, cemeteries that still need to be mapped, and they still need the mapping technology. What happens next is anybody's guess. And that's why it's vaguely irresponsible to even mention it, but I think it'd be more irresponsible not to mention it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, yeah, there are a lot of partnerships coming down, and there's a lot of venture capital money coming into this space, and I'm aware of it, and I'm trying to make some sense out of it. If I can make sense out of it in a way that's printable, I will do that first thing. You guys will be the first to know. But meanwhile, there's a link to the stories in the show notes. And that will do it for this week. In case you missed it, is a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo. Please click on subscribe wherever you're listening now, unless you're listening on your computer. And if you're listening on your computer and you're not on YouTube, you can pick up your phone and go to the podcatcher app on your phone, type in Funeral Service Insider, and you can subscribe there. It's great to see all the new subscribers as they come on each week. I've got to be honest. It's flattering, and thank you for joining up, and thank you for listening, and thank you for your feedback. I'm getting more and more. Again, they're not emails that I've been asked to share or that I'm allowed to share, but I am getting your emails, and I appreciate them. I appreciate the encouragement, and I also appreciate the takedowns, as they are often necessary with me spouting off here on the internet. You can leave me a voicemail, or you can send me an email. If you'd like to leave me a voicemail, you can do so at 732-746-0233, extension 709. That is 732-746-0233, extension 709. At the end of this, you can click to the show notes page, and below that there's always a place where you can email me. And that will do it for this time. I will not see you next week. I am driving to Washington, and I will be there this time next Thursday. And if I were to do a video, it would be of me in the mountains looking dirty and scared and like I've been driving for 2 days, because that's what I will have been doing this time next week. But for the rest of this time, I will catch you in 2 weeks for In Case You Missed It from Kates-Boylston.